Shoradev, start.
A very good evening to all of you. This is Shauradip Odhikari. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this enriching session presented by Modok Trainer Academy. Today, we have gathered here to explore a fascinating and profound subject, painters and the essence of painting in Vishnudharmottara. This subject holds immense significance in understanding the artistic philosophies embedded in ancient Indian texts and their relevance in today's world of art and aesthetics. Now, I would like to share a few words with all of you about our today's eminent speaker. We are truly honored to have with us a distinguished scholar, Dr. Swati Bhattacharya, former Associate Professor at the Government College of Art and Craft, Kolkata. This isn't Dr. Bhattacharya's first interaction with us. Previously, she captivated us with her insightful discourse on the theory of Chitra Sutras in Vishnu Dharmottara Purana. So, in one webinar, it is not possible to mention all of our contributions. So, we can recall some of her contributions in some relevant and short points. Dr. Bhattacharya isn't just an esteemed academic, but also a prolific writer, researcher, and translator with extensive contributions to the fields of comparative literature, Indian art, and aesthetics. Her lectures at esteemed institutions like the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, Birla Academy of Art and Culture, and Rajya Charukala Parshad have left a lasting impact on students and scholars alike. Today, she is going to take us even deeper into the essence of painting as envisioned in this ancient text, shedding light on its philosophical, artistic, and cultural dimensions. I would like to thank all of you for being present here. I encourage you all to actively engage in this session, ask questions, and immerse yourself in this intellectual journey. So, without any delay, let us warmly welcome our today's distinguished speaker, Dr. Swati Bhattacharya, and begin this enlightening session. I humbly request her to start her today's valuable lecture. Over to you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Shurab, for such a encouraging introduction. I hope that all of you present here would enjoy, because this is kind of a continuation of the previous lecture where I could just discuss the theories of Chitra Sutra but couldn't go into the detail. As the compiler of Vishnudharmottara Purana at the end of Chitra Sutra writes that it's not possible to discuss all the details if we discuss it even for 100 years. Apparently, King Vajra was told this by Markandeya, and he says that it would take 100 years. So I just had 1 hour previously and 1 more hour here. So I'll be just pointing out the important aspects of Indian painting as conceived by the compilers. I am referring to the word compiler again and again because it is assumed that these sutras were practiced and orally transmitted from generation to generation, and that's how the painters got familiar with it. And later on they were compiled as most of the interpreters agree that it was compiled between 600 to 1000 AD. So here, just a word, since I'm going to present, the translation that I have used here are mostly from the interpretation by Stella Cambridge and by Parul Dave Mukherjee, whose is the latest edition. And of course, I took some of the ideas from Isabella Nardi, whose PhD work was on Vishnudharmottara Purana itself. So, but the translations are almost literally taken from these three sources. Now, just give me 1 minute so that I can present the screen. Is it visible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So this is, of course, a bit anachronistic because this is a painting that was done much later, but I didn't get any earlier version of the painters. But here you can get the idea that the painters used the colors that were mainly extracted from the vegetables and different minerals, and this is how they used to see it. This is a Pahari painting, but more or less you can get the idea because it is advised in the Vishnudharmottara Purana that the painters should have a bath and they would wear very fine clothes and they'll sit in a very clean area and concentrate on their dhyana rupa. Now this is something that this is a word on which the interpreters keep on debating, because dhyana here, according to me, that dhyana here is not meditation as we generally understand it, but dhyana here means deep concentration. And as our modern day artist Abanindranath once recalled that once he was advised to do some meditation before painting, so he had gone up on the roof of Jorashako Thakurbari and he closed his eyes and was trying hard to meditate. And then he felt that someone whispered just near his ears telling that, why have you closed your eyes? You open it. And as soon as he opened it, he found that there was the sun rising in all its glory. And later he writes that শিল্পীর ধ্যান তো চোখ বন্ধ করে নয়, চোখ খুলে. So I accept this viewpoint because it comes from an artist, and I also think that it means deep concentration. So for doing anything we need to concentrate deeply, and that is why they're advised to put on their paper or on the ivory on which they're working on whatever they can see in their dhyana, the rupa that they can see in their dhyana, and for that they need deep concentration. Now, murals were very common in those days, and in Vishnudharmottara Purana, there are, there's a typo, it's brick powder, how to prepare the wall. So brick powder plus clay plus saffron with oil, you have to mix with gum, resin, beeswax, licorice, molasses in equal parts, and then astringent made of extract from neem also, because that would prevent the insects to eat up the colors, because you can see the colors were made of quite interesting materials. So here comes the pulse, and sometimes they use a rice paste dissolved in water, and within a month this should be applied to the wall. So this mixture was kept for a month, and then it was applied on the wall, and it should, if it is too thick, the colors would just come off, and if it's too thin, they won't be there for long. So this is, here is a photograph of the Ajanta Cave 1. You can see that how minutely they had worked on the walls, and this is how they prepared the wall. And they primarily they used pen kind of thing, a crayon kind of thing, where the rice paste, it's made of rice paste, and then they used to make mix brick powder or soot with it. Brick powder for red outlines and soot for the black outlines. So the artist should draw the outlines with black and white brushes, and then they should be filled in with colors in appropriate places. Now, those of you who have been to Ajanta, you'll remember that there is one but that one is done entirely in black and white, and so they could create the contrast by using black and white. They understood just the two colors, and sometimes they just other colors. Then primary colors are 5: white, yellow, blue, black, and green, and artists should mix an imagination. This is very important. Heritage, all these come up, but actually that was a lack of understanding. Even if we just see the paintings in Ajanta, we'll be able to see that something that was being done from 2nd century BC to 4th century AD has got so much variation. Enjoyed this privilege. So he can create, and it's interesting that the compiler of Vishnudharmottara Purana Chitra Sutra, he says that there can be hundreds of variations, but a talented and expert painter can create 1,000-fold what is 100-fold. It depends on his expertise. And if you remember, I told you the word for it, Borno Chai. That is the tonal variation that was indicated by chai. So you can mix the colors, just the mixture of white, the proportion of white and red can create so many shades of pink. So one can create thousands of shades and they can use it. And this is why I'll just remind you, many of you already are familiar with the term. In Sharanga, there is a word called Barnika Bhanga. So Barnika Bhanga means division in a flat way, but tonal variations are created. So Barnika Bhanga was indeed a major part of Indian painting, and that is once again highlighted here. By proper selection and distribution of colors, paintings become delightful, and that goes without saying. Now, birth of realistic paintings. But here you can see two paintings from Ajanta. Here we can see two drunkards. They are talking. But if you look at them, you can see that they are not the natives. They don't appear from their dress and from the way they look. They don't appear to be from India. So they were the foreigners who came to visit India. And here also you can see the characters. They are painted on the ceiling of cave number 1. And here also you can see the features are quite dissimilar for the usual Indian feature, and that is why the art historians assume that they are the foreigners. You can say photographers in their own way, and they here you can see that how realistically they are painted. And just look at the expression, and at the same time so realistic. And it is, I'm harping on the term realistic because in India they were not supposed to paint a model. They didn't use a model, so they are supposed to paint from memory. Even Vishnudharmottara said that they are supposed to what I was just telling you. So they were so observant that even without using them as model, they could portray them.
Ma'am, your voice is not coming clearly.
Oh,
Hello, ma'am.
painting is
Hello. Hello,
am I
ma'am.
not audible? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Am I audible
Yes,
now?
ma'am, you're audible.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Thank you. So it's not, I've used the term naturalistic, not in the Western connotation, but naturalistic as in something that collaborates with nature. Nature doesn't only mean nature as in Prakriti, but also human nature. So Satyam is true naturalistic, and here also we can see that this is a Persian man who has come to meet Buddha, and it's been delineated over here. And here also you see a man with a cap on his head. So again, this is from Ajanta. Then the second one, the critics differ a lot because Paruldabe Mukherjee says it's Daishikam, and if all the other ones before her, that is C. Shivaramamurthy or Stella Kramrish or Priyawala Shah, the chronology is all hodgepodge. Anyhow, it should be Stella Kramrish, then C. Shivaramamurthy, and then Priyawala Shah. And last is Paruldabe Mukherjee, who says instead of Vainikam, it should be Daishikam. Now, Daishikam comes from the word Deshi, Desh. So, Daishikam, something that is local. And Vainikam, why it is called Vainikam, they offer different explanations for that. According to Stella Kramrish, is Vainikam because it is lyrical. It's like the sound of Veena. And according to Shivaramamurthy, it's like there is a river in South India that's called Vena. So that it's like the southern style is apparent in those paintings, and that is why they are called Vainikam. But according to Paruldabe Mukherjee, it's Daishikam because the local features, trained of the local dresses, they are reflected in it, and it's more natural that according to her that it should be Daishikam. Anyhow, I have written both the words. You are free to choose. So Sattam, Daishikam or Vainikam, and then Nagaram. Naturally, Nagaram comes from the word urban or of the city. Now, and finally, there is Mishram. I personally find this last category very interesting. Once again, there is no bindings that you have to abide by any of these formations mentioned above, but you can mix and match different styles so that a new style is generated, and that is Mishram. So here also you can see that the women are there, the Persian, the foreigners are there, so you can think that they are servants. How do you know that they are servants? That there is a very lack of ornaments. But by looking at the dresses, you can see the local flavor has been retained. So this is, of course, a Satyam. It has in it the features of the Satyam painting, but at the same time, you can fix it in the Mishra category. Anyhow, here is a difference from Vishnudharmottara. Whichever painting bears resemblance to this art has elongated figures drawn proportionately with finesse and are profusely decorated are called Satya. And this is why I told you that this has in it the elements of Satya, but this is basically a Mishra painting. The other one was more realistically depicted. Now, this is Daishika Arvainiko. Now, this is from Cave 1 when Mahajanaka Jatar declares that King Mahajanak declares that he is going to renounce kingdom and he wants to be a saint. So then the queen of Mahajanaka, she couldn't believe this and she thought that maybe the king is repressed, and then she asked the entertainers in the court to dance and sing. So here, Daishika, here we can get so many information just by looking at this photograph. You can see the local elements in it. A painting placed in an exactly square field, fully complete. That is about Chitrophalak, not about the mural painting. Neither difficult to accomplish. Neither difficult to accomplish means it's spontaneous, not too strong. That is maintaining strict proportion. It's not, there is no such binding. Rich in display of postures and is called Daishika and Vainika. Now, if you look at it, I have left out the portion where all the postures are about 23 postures are discussed. But here we can just discuss a few. That this is called Ardho Bilochana. That is just a profile. You can see one eye. Here, this is Prishtagato, that you can only see the backside view. And these are, you can almost have a frontal view, this here and this, especially this one. This is called Rijagato, that is reduced, standing straight. Then you can get an idea about the kind of dresses they used to wear. And here, you can see that these are almost like the batik clothes that we see now, and it's been proved by the art historians that they knew the use of batik. And you know, it's one of the oldest resist dyeing that they had adopted. So this and the kind of clothes that they wear and the jewelry. And here we can see that the women used to play flute. It is still a bit rare nowadays, but here we can see, and then you can see the character of the people. Someone is peeping from this room. So, and the different expression that the dancer is dancing, they are playing the flute, they're singing, but they are not happy because everyone is sad that King Mahajanak, who was such a good king, is going to leave the kingdom. So they are doing everything, but they are a bit sad. So display of postures, we can see that there is a rich display of postures and there's a spontaneous expression. The sadness is almost palpable. Even if you don't know the story, you can feel the sadness hovering in the air. Now, this is Nagara painting. Now, painting in which all the figures are firmly developed so as to appear three-dimensional is derived from a circle and very little decoration is used. Such a painting is called Nagara. Even today, the urban people, we think there's a very common word, all of you have used it at some time or other, that is Gyo or Gaya, someone who wears a lots of jewelry, dark colors, sari, and we often use that term quite loosely. So urban people, they don't put on lots of jewelry. And here, circle, huh? This is a ceiling. So you can see the circular movement. The whole thing is taken into account. And here there are the palaces. Just look at it. So interesting. They are discussing. This is this is from Beshantara Jataka, and this is King Beshantara. He is also determined to leave the kingdom. And all the people around, they're discussing, they're gossiping. And here you can see someone just fool frolicking in the road, huh? And there are trees, but this is very sophisticated. You can see it's almost like the palace garden, and the whole thing, the ceiling becomes a part of this painting. So it's a circular movement, and it is not difficult to understand that this is a Nagara. This is city, and this is not, the palace is not in a village. And the dress, of course, just whatever see that their dress aspect of Nagara painting as perpendicular postures and proportion. Now, you might say that here, this is very important, this pramana and posture. This is very important because this is Buddha, who is so tall, who is portrayed so tall. He's holding a biggest bowl, and here is Yashodhara, and this is Rahul. And Rahul has come to ask for his paternal wealth, and here Yashodhara is telling Rahul to ask for it. And why is he portrayed in a colossal figure? Because of it is to denote, because they wanted to suggest that he is much taller and much bigger than us, because he has attained nirvana. And so sthana, pramana, and bhulam, it's perpendicular postures and proportion. This is why in the beginning, many of the British art historians, they were quite confused. They didn't understand, and they said that the Indian painters didn't have a knowledge of anatomy. But if you read Vishnudharmottara or any other treatise on Purana, you will find that they have worked such minute and that is the unit for man. Now, this is very important because mana is value also. So, man is value. So, value of Buddha cannot be equal to value of Rahul or Yashodhara, or so to say, any common people. So, it is a value that determines the proportion. That is pramana. Pramana, prakrishta mana, the perfect measurement. Then madhurattam, the loveliness, that you should have, even if the theme is not something interesting, it should be so well portrayed that one should feel that it's a well painted picture. So madhurattam here means loveliness, not because it deals with a very beautiful theme. Sadrishya. Now, if you look, you can, whatever we have seen, and then Sa Adrishya, whatever the. So Sadrishya is developed on based on this, whatever we see and whatever we imagine. And then Shkaya Vriddhi. It is written foreshortening by Parul Dave, but I'd say that how to create depth. This depth is created just by using the contrasting colors. So this is Kaya Vriddhi, that is deepening certain colors and lessening certain colors. So basically it's contrast between a dark color and a light color, by which the painter can create an illusion of depth on a two-dimensional plane. So that is known as Kaya Vriddhi. Now, these are some of the stances. If you remember, in the last discussion, I told you about a sloka that tells Tatha Chitre, and Chitra means not only painting, but Chitra means sculpture also. So here are some of the stances, and most of you know this. This is Abhanga. When there is stances, but this is also called Shamabhanga because of this perpendicular line, which is called Manasutra. And this is Uttibhanga. That here is a bhanga, here is a bhanga. Here or Krishna. Now, how many figures are there? But each figure has got a different expression. If you just concentrate on the eyes, the eyes are basically drawn in the same manner, but just placing the eyeball in different places, the different expressions are communicated, number one. And secondly, all of them, you just look at each of their faces and you can see that how differently you can almost read their mind. So the ornaments of paintings are, as Markandeya says to Vajra, "O best of men, to be and it is said that the and the other tertiary figures, they are there. And even if you don't know what is happening, you would know that something has befallen the man. Everyone is looking so crestfallen. They're wondering, they're talking to each other, how can this happen? So this is also a part of Mahajanaka Jatak. Here Mahajanaka comes and talks to Buddha, and he takes a vow to ascend, and how could this happen? And you can guess the thought process of different people. So, and the color, the color palette is quite limited over here, but still it doesn't disturb the thought, as if the color here is also symbolical of the central bhava or feeling. Then then it is said, who praises what? Personally, I'm a bit biased about this sloka, but the master, that is Acharya, master praises the lines naturally, critiques the shading, meditation.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Kind of lectures, people say, well, you told something good, but we don't understand painting. So Vichakshana, you have to develop an to understand. Out in all the cases, that only after started copying them. So that is how one becomes. And whether the line is correctly drawn or not. So if you read it from the last line, then perhaps it would be easier for some uninitiated people to understand it. This is how we relate with painting even today. Then a perfect painting. A painting, O learned one, made with lines that are smooth, clear, having beautiful color, dressed appropriate to that particular country, without lacking in the beauty of proportion, is indeed an extraordinary one. And he calls it Ativa Chitram, the best perfect painting. Now, if we just look at it, some of our preconceived notions will be eradicated, because lines should be smooth, clear, then color, then drinks appropriate to that particular country. If that is not realism, then what is realism? And beauty not lacking in the beauty of proportion. So proportion should be maintained. And even after that, there were people who thought that Indians were unaware of the anatomical drawings. Now just look at this figure. This is also from Ajanta, and it is one of my favorite painting, part of the painting. And such an expressive face, and you can understand that he is just an ordinary man. And the depth in the look, how beautifully it's been portrayed, and the play of light and shade, how the contour has been brought out. All this, if you look at it, I think one can gaze at it for hours. It is such a intriguing painting. And that is why Ativa, not only Ati, the best of paintings. Now, I am just jumping some chapters, because it is said that thus a painting which is imbibed with that postures, beauty, playfulness, and sentiments, visualized by discerning mind, which is a form of a painted visual enticement, and that fulfills the desire. I told you, I felt like looking at it for hours. That is the desire, when we really enjoy a painting. Now from here, I told you I'm jumping a lot of slokas because there's no time, where the where in Vishnudharmottara Purana, the characteristic features of different people, the different seasons, and how they are to be portrayed are described. But I'll take up this part, sentiments. That is the essence, or that is what we call rasa. Now, there is something interesting, that this, as I told you, this was compiled sometime in the 6th century AD. Now, before that, much before that, Natya Shastra has been compiled. And in the 6th chapter of Natya Shastra, Bharata discusses rasa in detail. Now, those of you who are familiar with that chapter, you know how much detailing has been done here. So, I think when this was being compiled, people were already familiar with the concept of rasa. But without the essence, as I call it, essence of a painting, rasa is like the essence of a painting, but here no detailing is done. Bharata had said, rasa iti ka padartha. What is rasa? Uchyate asadate. It is a matter of test. But here, it is a compiler just said that Sringara, Hasya, Karuna, Rodra, Veera, Vibhatsa, Bhanaka, Adbhuta, these are the 9 rasas that are used in the painting. So he doesn't go into detail, and in the next sloka, he starts giving definition of the Sringara that I am sharing with you. Now, in the erotic sentiment, the figure should be depicted clad in sophisticated dresses and ornaments. Now, so bidogtho, the word here is used bidogtho beshabhushanam. Bidogtho beshabhushanam. And in which their amorous beauty is expressed by the exquisite beauty of the line. Now, this is a camera painting. This is a painting from Bashali, and I'm really mesmerized with this because of the suggestiveness. Whenever I look at it, you just see how that Radha has come. This is the Obhisharika Naika, but here she has come. And the night is suggested just by a dark color. And just that it was not a happy journey, that it was a dangerous journey, is indicated just by this line. This line this is actually a snake which is suggestive, and that there is a chance, there is a chance of the rain, and the clouds have gathered here, and then there is a small gap. It shows that she has come all the way from here, and this is the dark door. This is the darkness she has come through. And look at them. They are really well dressed, and they are looking at each other, and you can see that their lavanya, kanti lavanya, that this is, they're just enjoying their union. And look at this flower garlands and all the jewelry she's wearing. So these are expressed with the exquisite beauty by the line. Just think of it, if this portion wasn't there, the painting wouldn't have been half as interesting, and how the story has been beautifully woven. These are the suggestiveness. That is one of the other feature of Indian painting. Then this is Hasya. Again, what is Hasya? In the representation of comic sentiment, the portrayal of the hunchback dwarfs, that which looks somewhat distorted, and gestures such as the unnecessary clapping of fists is said to bring about laughter. No, I didn't choose a dwarf's painting because that somehow appeared a bit cruel to me. So instead of physical distortion, I thought that these two, this is from Ajanta, Mahakapi Jataka, this is from Mahisha Jataka, where the monkey is playing with the Mahish. They're playfully sitting on the back of the Mahish and just enjoying some frolicking moments with him. And here you see how Garuda has been painted. This is Garuda. Sorry. So I found this quite funny, and I thought that this is a good example of the comic and painting, and that is why I chose this for you. And just the expression of Garuda, the whole thing is quite comical. But again, this is one of the Pahari paintings. Okay. Now Karuna. This is again Mahajanaka Jatak. I'm kind of obsessed with Mahajanaka Jatak. I spent almost 1/3 of my time in Ajanta in Cave 1. So in case of the tragic sentiment, new should paint, sorry, I think there is a typo. The artist should paint situations that evoke sympathy, such as begging, separation from the beloved, renunciation, ailment, calamity. So you can see the expression, and this is a painting of renunciation. And you look at the eyes, again, all the eyes are so expressive. I can't believe this. Huh? Is it true? Please don't go. Huh? So all you can almost hear. And again, the postures, that is, all the postures are expressive of the Karuna Rasa. There is sadness hovering all over the scene. How the story has been suggested. Again and again, I'm telling you that hardly anyone nowadays knows all the Jataka stories. I don't know, but I personally don't know. We only know a few Jataka stories, but the rasa within, the essence, that the essence of the painting is sadness, karuna, that we can, it's not koruna, it's korum, but it's written like this. It's usually spelled like this. So that it is a painting that expresses karuna rasa is quite obvious. Now this is Raudra. To express a, now I hope you have noticed that I have just randomly chosen the paintings to show that these treatises were practiced by the artists, because these paintings are almost an illustration of the sutras. To express a wrathful sentiment in a painting, Raudrarasa actually has energy as the core bhava. All these are discussed in Natya Shastra, but not here. There is not a single reference of the relation between bhava and rasa. That is quite interesting. To express a wrathful sentiment in a painting, one should depict harshness, agitation, anger, hostility, and the destruction of property and footprints. Leaving the last two qualities, you can see the harshness, the agitation in Mahishasur, and the anger here, the hostility here, and it should be furnished with glinting weapons and armors. So, as I told you, it's almost an illustration of the sutras. They were so familiar with it that they all came spontaneously. And look at the way Mahishasur has been portrayed. And there are, I mean, as I told you, due to the positive time, I couldn't go into the details. There is detailed description that how a Asur should look, how a Danav should look, how a Rakshasa should look, and they all fall exactly, fit exactly into that descriptions. But again, this is a Vachali painting. Now, to express the heroic Veera, this is from a Ramayana folio. To express the heroic sentiment, there should be a much later painted. This is a 17th century painting. To express the heroic sentiment, there should be a display of nobleness in the form of oath-taking or pride in the matters of heroism, etc. Just look at Rama and Lakshmana. They are sitting on the back of an elephant, and the majestic look. The hero should be depicted with a frown and an arrogant expression. Of course, the arrogance is there in the body language, and that even if you don't know that it's Rama and Lakshmana, that a battle is going on. And the Veera Rasa, again, you can feel that how energetically they are all fighting, and they're so confident in their capability. And just see how the mountain, this is not a mountain, this is exactly a hillock to be properly described. Now this hillock has been used to show the there's a division between two portion of the battlefield. So everyone here, they are equally showing their valor. And here is the soldiers who are leading. So here is Rama, Lakshmana, and here the other soldiers. They're all energized, and they're all ready to fight. So here the Sai Bhav, if we use Natya Shastra's explanation, the Sai Bhav is Veera, but Anubhav, the Bhava that heightens the Sai Bhava, that is, of course, Raudra. Now, this is Bhayanaka. Again, this is a Vashali painting, and believe it or not, that's Kali in all her terror, and she is killing the Raktabija. in a painting which express terrible sentiment. Please pardon my typos. A terrible sentiment. The subject of portrayal should be vile, frightful to look at, not bat, fading away in decay or shriveled up. Just see, shriveled up. This is not the Kali icon we are familiar with. Shriveled up, and that which looks contemptible and not and but and murderous. Please, I'm extremely sorry. Now, of course, the energy, the bhayanaka, the fear in the, not only in this Raktapija who is portrayed here with 8 hands, and this is a bhayanak painting. This would give rise to bhaya. But once again, I just ask you to see the similarity between this illustration and this painting and the sutra. And this is Bibhatshu. Someone is going on a Abhishar, but there is a Shashan, and this is the ghost, and just look at it. There's a baby there. That painting which disturbs the mind. Chitto Biksheptri, due to its terrifying subject matter, such as the funeral grounds at the Shashana and the acts of reprehensible violence, give rise to the sentiment of disgust. Bibhatshu, something that is bibhatshu, that is born out of the bhava, that is jugupsha. We don't want to look at it again. Now, Adbhut, this is Krishna eating up the fire. The marvelous sentiments conveyed by depicting someone showing horripilation, that is, you're having romancho, having a wide-eyed look. Just look at these figures. Wide-eyed look here also. Bistritakshi. An expectant face. Unmukho ananam. What is going to happen? And beads of perspiration, that is shedam. So everyone is worried. What is going to happen? Just look at the way they're clutching each other. So they are, of course, romancho cannot be translated as horripilation. Okay, romancho you all understand, because that is there in the Indian languages. So they're all romantic. What is happening? What is going to happen? And there is smoke, there is fire. So this is Adbhuta Rasa. Now this is Shanta. The representation of the tranquil sentiment consists of benign appearance, Shommo Kanti, mainly of ascetics and meditative posture, and sit suited to the same, that is meditative posture, the Padmasana, and any other subject that expresses calmness. So this is Avalokiteshwar Padmapani, who didn't want to have nirvana unless everyone on earth gets emancipated, and since that is not to be, he is staying somewhere in the middle. And this is again from Ajanta. All of you are very familiar with this picture. And this I feel is an epitome of Shantarasa. According to Bharata, the presiding deity of Shanta is also, of course, Shanto, according to Abhinavagupta, who had added this 9th ras Shanta with the 8 rasas mentioned by Bharata, Buddha is the presiding deity of Shantarasa. Now, just 2 more slides. I don't know, I can't see the time, but if I'm over reaching the
No,
time
madam, continue. You have time.
Just 2 more slides. Now, then after discussing this rasa, they just advise which paintings are to be painted in the households or to be hung in the households. So here I have chosen just 3 of my favorite paintings, again randomly. Now this is from Kangra, this is from Kishangarh, and this is from Ajanta. So this is erotic, this is tranquil, and this is kind of comic. So only the comic, tranquil, and erotic sentiments are allowed in the house, none of the other sentiments should ever be painted in anyone's house, because that would only disturb. Now, I could have put a landscape here, but I put it here because in another part of Vishnudharmottara, it is said that you must show the seasons accurately and the local where it is taking place. And if you want to show a forest, you should use different kind of trees and flowers, and of course birds and animals. And those of you who are familiar with Pahari paintings, Rajput miniatures, you know how the flora and fauna has been extensively used by the artists, and you can almost identify the trees in many of the paintings. And this I chose because to show the difference in the presentation of lotus. So this is apparently a priest, and this is Bani Thani. As you know, she was a courtesan who fell in love with the king, and later on king married her. So Bani Thani, Nihal Chand became famous for making her portraits. Now this is scenes from the battles, funeral grounds, a tragic death, pain are considered as inauspicious, and they are not allowed to be painted in the house, nor hung. Now these are only allowed to be painted in the royal assembly halls, not in King's Palace, royal assembly halls like the Amdarbar, and the temples. Because if you paint them in temples, that is in an indirect way, you are praying to the god or goddesses to stop this unwanted happenings. So there you can paint them, but otherwise they should not be painted and kept in the room. That is only take away the calm from your mind, as a painting is supposed to make you calm, as painting is supposed to make you happy. Now, he who can, here is a greatest certificate that the compiler gives to the artist. And here I have just again taken a jump and come to the modern period. Now, I just wanted to show you this because there is an exhibition. I don't know whether it's finished or not. There is a paint exhibition in Chitrakoot Art Gallery where they were showing Nandalal's painting on Mahabharata. Now, I found this quite interesting because it is said that he who can paint waves and flags, you can feel the movement of the flags, and you can feel the movement of the water over here. This is by Abaninara, this is by Nandulal, and it is said that who can paint this with the speed of a wind. Bayu gatya likhet bastu. So who can paint it as fast as the wind. He who can paint the distinction between the depth and projection. Depth, and you can, this is a wash painting, but still you can feel where there is water and where there is land. Depth and projection between a person, and then distinguish between a person sleeping, full of consciousness, and dead person, is said to be an expert. We have to touch people to understand whether they're sleeping, whether they have become unconscious, or whether someone has passed away. But an artist, without making any sound, can communicate this. And then the final compliment, just as Shumeru is the most excellent mountain, Garura the chief amongst the birds, king best of all men, painting is the best of all arts. And this is a painting by Rabindra Thakur. And painting is the most excellent of all arts and grants dharma, artha, and kama. The house which has a painting is considered auspicious. So that's all. Here I end my presentation.
Thank you all. I convey my heartiest thanks and congratulations to Dr. Swati Bhattacharya for his wonderful deliberation. Practically, it is rather a continuation of his past lecture. Still, it seems that it has remained incomplete. Something more can be said on this subject. And he has presented it a very fascinating way. I myself am charmed rather at her deliberations. And her last remark has made me very satisfied that painting is the greatest of all arts. Yes, actually, a man is smiling. It is easier for a film to show that a man is smiling. But in a painting, to show that a man has not kept smiling, he is smiling, সে হেসে আছে নয়, সে হাসছে, এটি যখন পেন্টিং এ দেখানো হয় বোঝানো যায় যে পেন্টিং ইজ সো ফোর্সফুল এ ফর্ম অফ আর্ট। I really charmed and enchanted at his deliberation and has practically been benefited with greater knowledge in the subject of which we are not aware of. I have been enlightened, enriched rather. So, on behalf of myself and on behalf of our Mode of Training Academy, I convey my heartiest thanks and gratitude to Professor Swati Bhattacharya and hope that in kindred subjects and kindred conferences, we would have again her company and will be benefited by the same. Thank you all.